Hello, everyone. My name is Hannah Langton, and you're listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. If you're new to the show, our goal here is to create some fantastic content for athletes, parents, and coaches. We tell stories, have laughs, and go into everything that is the end game of athletic performance, helping athletes achieve their optimal performance and be the best they can possibly be. Enjoy the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. I'm your host, Adam Lane. With me today,
Hannah Langton.
from beautiful Genoa-Kingston.
Yep.
Going to Central Michigan.
Yes.
Miss Hannah Langton.
Mm-hmm.
You jumped in there, Hannah, beautifully. Nicely done.
Yep. Thank you.
On cue.
Yep, that's right. I've done this before.
It's not your first rodeo.
No.
But it is your first podcast.
Yes, it is.
Look at you.
I know. I feel really cool to be here. I'm excited. I came chatty.
You've really achieved. This is the pinnacle of everything you've done. I mean, it's all state, volleyball, but that's nice.
Yeah.
State championship, whatever. Division I volleyball, that'll be fun. But
right.
Guest on Oak Performance Radio. I mean, holy cow.
Really made it.
Peak of the mountain.
Yep,
right there.
Yep, that's the top.
Jeez.
Yep.
Bad news is the rest of your life is just kind of downhill. But that's okay, Hannah.
Yep.
This is being recorded.
Right.
We can always refer back to it.
Yes.
And that'd be good. Right. That'd be good. Hannah, for the tens of people that listen to the show who might not know who you are and why you're such a big deal, tell these tens of people who you are and why you're such a big deal.
Well, I wouldn't say I'm that big of a deal. I appreciate it. But I'm Hannah. I've played for VC for 7 years. I started in 2017 when they began, and I was 12 years old. I played for the 13th team with Eric's daughter and Lucy and Abby and all those fun players that just graduated last year. So I've been here a while. I got to know everybody. But besides that, like you said, I won a state championship in high school. My junior year, I'm going to Central Michigan. I'm a libero, and I am ready to go. I'm leaving in a week and a half here, so it's exciting, but yeah.
Okay, so Hannah, you'll actually be gone before this podcast comes out.
Yep, probably.
But that's okay. You could tell, again, you'll blow it up.
Right.
Everybody in Central Michigan will be listening to it.
I'm sure.
Probably Northern Michigan, Southern Michigan, all of Michigan. If we can get all of Michigan just to
all the followers
have conversation, and this is good. So Hannah, you've done some very solid things athletically. The thing that, and Hannah, I feel like I've begged you to be on the podcast for years, but you claim that that's not the case. But per our conversation a couple weeks ago, I find it interesting how everybody kind of has their own story, their own, like, hey, this is how I got into this, or this is how this is the path that I paved. And some people, just everybody's different, at the end of the day with what they do. And nothing about your story is unique. But if I were to, I'm sorry, I shouldn't say nothing. Sorry. That's not like, hey, you played a sport, you played it a lot, you got recruited. Here we go.
Yep.
You did really good, won a state champion.
Yep.
You're a good athlete, good volleyball player. You're all state. Sorry, not you. The unique was not the word there. The thing that makes you insanely special is that even with all this, work ethic and God-given ability, like you continue to push harder than the majority of athletes. And so we've made fun of you at times, and not in a negative way, just in a thing where like nobody else does this. You come in early and you will pass the ball against the wall.
Yep.
Against Chloe out there.
Yep. Yep. We named the wall for all the people who aren't sure who Chloe is.
You'll get 500 touches.
Yeah.
Against the wall multiple days a week.
Yeah. Before
lifting starts, before practice starts, and you just have your own little thing. You just go over there, you do it, you did it, like.
Yeah.
What's the driver here? Why? How? What motivates you here?
So I've always had a pretty good work ethic, whether that's volleyball, school. I'm the one that's coming in for the office hours every single day after school. If I don't fully understand something, I'm there. I'm getting the help. I'm advocating for myself. And I think that has just leaked into my volleyball athletic training, performance, all that. For me,
You've always been like this.
Yes, I've always been like this. It's nothing new, I guess. I've always strived to get better. Let's say like I had a really great tournament. Okay. well, that's not good enough. I need to get better. I'm happy that I did well. And of course, I'm always striving to do my best. But I feel like there's always a better version of myself out there. And so I'm always striving to get to that better version of myself. And yes, this has bit me in the butt in the past because I never settle. But I think it's also what has gotten me to where I am. I wouldn't say if I did nothing, I wouldn't say I'd be where I'm at. I'm not the most athletic person. I'm not the best volleyball player, but I'm working to be the most athletic that I can be and the best volleyball player that I can be. And that's a motivation enough. Some days there are times where I really don't want to come in and do 500 passes against the wall. But for me, I need to, because then it's going to make my practice better. It's going to make my performance better. It'll get me locked into practice when we come in here in the weight room. And for me, that's a win.
Have you ever overdone it on yourself? Like, oh my gosh, I'm burning myself out. I need a break type thing?
Yes, I have. I take breaks when they come. I'll take a few days break. But for me, like a week is enough. A week is enough because I don't know, like this is just how I am. I wouldn't say this is the best way to go about it. But for me, if I'm not getting better, then I'm losing time that I could have to be getting better. So this summer has been tough for me taking a break. I'm going to school and I know that in a few months I'll be like, oh, I really should have really taken that break and really enjoyed it. And I have enjoyed it, but it's been tough. I feel like when I do take a break, I feel like that's just time I could be taking to get better.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my mindset on it. I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. That's just how I go about it. And for me, it's worked. Yes, I've been burned out, but nothing crazy. I've never been like, oh, I'm quitting volleyball. I've had hard times and I've definitely had the lows. I mean, I go back to my freshman year. I was going into 15-0, I believe, and it was just probably rock bottom for me. I wasn't playing well like the entire year. I just did not play well. I wasn't really maybe fitting in with my team. Nobody was doing anything wrong, but I just was so down low that I couldn't get back up, and I truly just needed a change. And so we ended up making a change that next year, and it's been up and up from that. But
because you were playing up.
Yes, so I was playing up a year. So I was playing with the class of 2023, and I'm class of 2024. And those girls were amazing for me when I was younger, and they were amazing. They were an amazing group of girls, and I got better from them. And I truly appreciate that. But when I was at rock bottom, I needed a change. And I think even though it's only 1 year, I was so much less mature than them, both physically and mentally. And so when you're going into high school, I mean, you already have so many changes. And so that was something for me that I needed to change. And so then the next year I ended up playing that year again. So I actually had 2 years of 16U, and I ended up going to my class with the 2024. And from then, obviously there's ups and downs with that, but I've been able to work through it a little bit better than what I was able to when I was playing up.
At some time it has to like something has to work out there. And this is club sports across the board. You know, oh, this person plays up and they do it. Like, okay, well, what happens? Because you either do what you did. Like, hey, a high school here, we're going to, you need it. Like, especially from a physical standpoint, you can be like, hey, which one doesn't belong? Oh, little Hannah.
Yeah.
She is.
Yep.
And you were, I'm going to say kind of a late bloomer. Like I remember you being itty bitty.
Small. I was very small. Yep.
Yeah.
And I was always really hard on myself too. And that was just the mental aspect. I mean, I made like 2 mistakes, and in volleyball, 2 mistakes is not that much. Everybody makes a couple mistakes, and I would make 2 mistakes and I would be in tears. I just wasn't mentally fully developed at that time. Not that anybody is, but I was just so hard on myself when I was younger. And so, that was part of my rock bottom.
Did you feel pressure because you were the younger kid on the older kids team, and all of a sudden, like if you make mistakes, they're like,
For sure.
Do you know what I mean? Like, why is she here? She can use the ball.
Specifically putting pressure on me, I think just me putting my own pressure on myself. I wanted to fit in with them. I wanted to be good like them. And so I was putting added pressure on myself, and I already put a lot of pressure on myself as it is. On top of that added pressure, it just wasn't a good mix.
Yeah. So, because then part 2 is you get to your junior year and you play 18, and then you get to your 18 year, and then what do you do?
Yeah, exactly.
And I know there is the thing where there are some kids that graduate at semester and will go to college early. which is fine, but you miss a lot of volleyball.
For sure. Yeah.
And I would agree. I know I've talked to Eric and Wayne about this. Sometimes it can be a really, really good fit for people, for athletes. They talk about Zoe back in the day, like where her team wasn't overly strong, and Notre Dame kind of ran a unique offense. So like, for her to get out there early and start to work with the team, like that was helpful. That was a good idea. But other kids, if you're still trying to get better at volleyball, you're going to get a lot more touches
for sure
staying here than going to college, and you're going to get more room, which it's hard to be bad about that.
Right.
But yeah, that's a tough. I totally forgot that you played up during those times. Holy cow.
Yeah, there's been ups and downs throughout my volleyball career, that's for sure. But one thing that I think has stayed is the motivation to always get better. And I wouldn't even say it's motivation, because nobody can be motivated 100% of the time. Even somebody who just is crazy motivated. I would consider myself pretty motivated, but it's impossible to always
be motivated.
On
crazy motivated.
Yeah. But I think discipline is really where it comes in. Because for me, I consistently train and consistently work out even in the weight room. And that's not my passion. I do it because it's good for me and it makes me stronger, but my passion is volleyball, and that's why I'm doing it. I'm not always motivated to come in here and do my best in the workouts, but I do, because that's what I need to do.
Yeah. So Hannah, a question for you. Where do you think, so you haven't heard this podcast either, but the podcast that comes out before this is, I interviewed Tony Cassiope, who, he was all-state wrestler 2 years from Haniga, and went to Iowa, and was a 4-time All-American there. And so in our podcast conversation with Tony, you've been doing this for a really long time, blah, 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 blah. What motivates you? It's like, I don't know. I think I'm just intrinsically motivated.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow-up question, Adam. Follow-up question. Think of a follow-up question. Oh crap! Okay. Well, why do you think you're intrinsically motivated? Where do you think? Because he does then kind of go off on like, it's not the external rewards, it's not the trophies. And it's funny because if you look through his like Instagram profile and stuff like that, he won the under 23 U championship, which was like in somewhere in Europe or something a year ago or something like that. So of all the, so he's standing there holding the trophy, he could care less about the trophy. Like it's not like he's taking this and, running around with it and, he doesn't care. He's on to the next thing. I think his parents are similar to that. They're proud of him that he did that, but it's not like, oh, my son, the 23U, champion. Hey, my son, the 4-time, D1 All-American.
Right.
They're very proud of him, but they're proud of the body of work and, and the hard work and the, that it's not just the, hey, he has this accolade.
Right.
What? So to go back to you, what keeps you going? Like going for more. A lot of people would get tired. A lot of people, could get burnout. You said you take a week off and you start to twitch. Like, oh my gosh, you did take, to your credit, 10 days off earlier this summer, Hannah.
It was hard, but I think it's needed. And so that's something that I've also had to learn too. But going along with your question, I think that it's not just the physical component. Of course, coming in here, getting extra reps, passing against the wall, working out, that's all part of it. But for me, what has kept me motivated is I've put my entire soul into my goal, which my goal from 9 years old has been to play Division I volleyball.
Soul into your goal.
Soul into my goal. But I
trademark hashtag.
Right. But I think I've just dedicated part of my life to it. I mean, down to my nutrition, down to my hydration, how much sleep I'm getting, making sure my grades are up. It has all been to go towards my goal. And so I think now that I've put pretty much almost all aspects of my life into this, I haven't lost the passion for it. I think that has kept me motivated because I know how much work I've put into it and how much it takes. I mean, it is mentally draining sometimes and it's physically draining sometimes, but when you put so much into something, it keeps you motivated and keeps you wanting to do more because you get so much reward from it mentally, physically. I mean, it's not about how many medals you get, but if you play well at a tournament or your team does well and you felt like a part of that, that is validation in itself. And I think over the years, feeling that and just knowing that all the hard work at home that I'm doing, like hydration, making sure I come to practice hydrated, making sure I go to tournaments hydrated, making sure that I'm fueled. Those things all add into the validation that I feel after. And so that has mostly kept me motivated, knowing how much is behind it.
Okay. 2 ideas here.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up the 9-year-old thing. I'm going to come back to that. Don't let me forget it.
Okay.
So what you said there, I think is such a big deal from, I mean, not just the practice, but hey, the lifting, the sleep, the hydration, the blah, blah, blah. I can't tell you. And this is stuff that people don't think about.
Yes.
I think, I know athletes don't think about it, but like if they don't hydrate on the day, I can't tell you how many kids I've had come into practice and they feel like death. Or I might have a migraine, or which I'm not saying there's a direct correlation. I'm just whatever. Oh, Adam, I don't feel good. Hey, Adam, can I run? You know, blah 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 blah. They didn't eat, and now they're running on empty. You know, or they didn't sleep, and they're so then they run to the bathroom or they get a drink or and they kind of half-ass the workout or whatever it is, and they wasted that day. It was garbage in here. You know, it was garbage out on the court. You went through a practice. You did 3 hours of training, 1 of lifting, 2 of the actual sport. You did 3 hours. If somebody does something for 3 hours, they should come out the other end of it better. And they didn't because they didn't do some of those very basic things that you're talking about. And
I've actually
that's gonna be chapter 8 of my book.
I've taken a really great interest in a lot of that because, you know, when I was younger, of course, I wasn't thinking about, I need to make sure I'm hitting my protein. When you're 10 years old, you're not thinking, man, I need to eat 150 grams of protein. No. But as I've gotten older,
do you think of that now?
I am mindful of it. I'm not, you know, I'm mindful of it. I wouldn't say I'm that strict on it, but I'm mindful of it. But just taking like a good interest in that, I think, you know, I've learned a lot. I've done my own research. I've looked into different things on my own. And I like to be the healthiest version of myself through all this. And I think, you know, you want to be prepared for your training sessions. You want to be prepared for practice. And so I've just looked into it a lot as far as, you know, what do I need? Because, you know, one of my teammates might need more than me, or I might need more than them. And that's okay. I've learned to not compare myself to other athletes because it's not worth it. You are working towards your goal. And yes, it's a team sport and you're doing it for the team, but you know, you have to make sure you are healthy and make sure you are getting better for the team as well.
Yeah. So one of the things, we just did this podcast with Tony a couple of days ago, so it's fresh in my mind. He got up to 270-ish or so. Like, I think 285 is the cut for heavyweight. Whatever, his freshman year and whatnot, and maybe sophomore year too. His last 2 years, he dropped weight. He's not the biggest heavyweight, down to like 245, 250, and he was a mean looking, you know, 245, 250. And literally everything that you just said there, he just felt better. I'm like, I asked him, are you a better wrestler 20 pounds lighter? He's like, I think so, but it was more of, I felt better. I was able to practice harder. You know, just like all the things. Hey, if you're put together, not even talk about the sport piece, but like you're getting sleep, you're eating well, you're aware of your protein goal, you know, you're getting your hydration, you know, you're doing, and nothing that we said there is rocket science.
No,
like we're not diving down rabbit holes in the way of how much sodium you need to consume on the day. But like he felt better. And if you feel better as a human, I don't care if you're playing sport or you're a parent or, you know, you just have a 9 to 5 desk job or whatever it is, you're going to be better at whatever it is that you happen to be doing just because you feel better.
Yes. I mean, even today, my mom and I went grocery shopping. I don't know if I said earlier, and she picked up some like crackers or something, and I was like, oh Mom, no, we can't get that. Have you seen the ingredients in this? And that's not to say that everybody needs to look at the ingredients, but I think just being mindful. I mean, she was gonna grab us this butter that was just full of oil. I was like, Mom, this is frozen oil. And she goes, okay, fine, grab a different one. And I was like, okay. And now I'm not going to be in the tub of butter, you know, in a day, but I think being mindful of what you're putting in your body is going to be so helpful. And even just knowing what it is and, you know, how much you're consuming and what it is, you know, I think that's really important as you get older and as an athlete, especially.
And it's funny because, again, you can get very deep down the rabbit hole and very nerdy on this stuff. It exists.
There's so much to it.
However, you can also just do the simple things too, you know,
for sure.
Get good sleep, eat good food, go to practice. Like it's just,
yes. If you overcomplicate it, that makes it
yes, yeah,
makes it too overwhelming. Then you're not going to want to stick to it.
yeah. Oh my gosh, I missed my post-workout window of
Right,
blah
right,
blah 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 blah.
No,
Well, eat your protein whenever. Doesn't who cares?
right,
Just
right.
get it in you.
Exactly.
So, Hannah, part 2 is so you mentioned earlier that you from the age of 9 you knew that you wanted to play Division I volleyball. I have a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
He has no goals. There's nothing.
Yeah.
That I might argue that little boys are different than little girls,
right,
but that
right.
thing. What? So when you say it, talk about. I don't deny that you didn't utter the phrase, "I want to play volleyball in college" at some point there.
Yeah.
And little 9-year-old Hannah, visualizing it right now. But like at some point here, going from 9 to 10 to 11 to 12, to now I hit high school. Now things start to get more real. Hey, I'm playing up. These kids. How did this? When did this really cement for you that, man, this is what I want to do? Because nobody would have faulted you at the age of 10,
right?
If you're like, I want to ride a pony. Like it just it could change
exactly.
like that.
Exactly.
How talk about that goal journey, if you will.
Well, when I was younger, I played a plethora of sports, all your basic softball, soccer, whatever. I had fun. I liked it. I wasn't amazing at any of it, but it was fun. You're young. Nobody's really that great. But so I actually started off playing just my park district volleyball. It was just one of those that I was trying out. My mom signed me up for it. Don't know if I was happy or not about it.
Yeah.
But I did it, and I actually was the young one, once again, playing with like the 6th graders. So I was in 3rd grade.
Okay.
And I played this, and I just had so much fun. I looked forward to practice every time. And mind you, I was a dancer before this for 5 years, and the last year I told my mom, I just want to take a break. Now, this whole episode, I'm not really I just want to take a break.
Yeah.
I just didn't really like it that much. I just didn't want to admit it. But I started playing volleyball, and I just loved it. It clicked. I was good at it. That was the one thing that really made me like it, of course. When you're good at something, you want to continue to do it. But even from like a young age, I was just naturally good at volleyball for being in 3rd grade. And I got a lot of attention.
What part of you being good were you good at? Was it like because you would play different sports? Dancing's a lot of like body control.
I don't think it was. I mean, maybe, but like I said, I'm not like the most athletic you've ever seen. So I think I was just good at passing a ball. I had good hand contact when I served. I had good contact on the ball when I used my platform, and like I was just good at like the basic things for your average 3rd grader. I mean, normally they're not paying attention. They're maybe shanking it on the wall, and that's okay because you're in 3rd grade. Who cares? But for me, I was attentive, and I just really liked it. And so a lot of people, said, "Oh my gosh, she's really good." So my mom signed me up for club, and I played for like a regional program for fusion, and that was good at the time because it was club. I mean, that's like really cool when you're in 3rd grade, 4th grade. I think I was at this time, and I just played for a 12U team. So I was maybe at this point I was like 10. Okay. Maybe not 10. Sorry. Maybe like 9 is when I started doing this. So I was about 9. And this is when I started playing club. And I was playing for a 12U team. So I'm 3 years younger. And I just remember I continued to love it. I continued to enjoy going to practice, and I continued to want to get better. And that was when I started even doing lessons when I was younger, because my mom just saw like, hey, she really likes this. She wants to continue to do it even at that young age. And I never was like, oh yeah, I'm playing Division I volleyball. I mean, I kind of learned. I don't know if I even really knew what that was at that time. I just, a lot of people kept helping me get better, and I continued to want to get better. And as the years go on, I mean, I had to work really hard to be good, because if I didn't put in that work, I probably wouldn't be that good. But after, when you start getting in high school, you're like, yeah, I've been working towards this. Like, this is my goal. And it was a high goal. I mean, playing Division I volleyball is crazy for anybody. Playing volleyball at the collegiate level is amazing for anybody. It's such a great goal. But for me, I have been working this whole time since I was 9 to do this. And so I continued with that. I continued to find the passion for it, even through the lows. Even through the lows, I never considered quitting. I never considered picking another sport. I just kept pushing through. And that's part of my personality too. I don't just quit. I'm not really a quitter. Even if I hated it, I'd finish out the season, do my thing, whatever. But I've just continued to find that passion no matter what. And so that was when I decided that playing Division I volleyball wasn't that high like far off. Like it was something I could do. I needed to put in work, but it was something I could do.
When did that epiphany come?
Probably 8th grade, maybe 7th grade.
Really, that young?
Yeah, I really, really loved volleyball when I was younger, and I knew I was just going to continue to do it. I even remember, Sage Damrow, she committed to Wisconsin in 8th grade, and that was like the coolest thing to me ever. I was like, of course the rule changed where you had to wait until but at the time when you could commit, I was like, oh my gosh, that is so cool. And I just like idolized that, and I wanted to be like that. I mean, of course I wasn't like that because the rule did change, but like I just loved the idea of that, and I knew that was what I was wanting to do.
Yeah. Because Hannah, now you've done enough talking. This podcast is all about you. What that? So I was in love with Notre Dame football as a kid, and so and the reason why I love this so much, the strength training piece, is that I played a lot as a 7th grader. I played a lot as an 8th grader. Freshman year, everybody grew. I did not.
Right.
All of a sudden, I'm benched because there are people bigger, faster, and stronger than I am that are just straight up better. And I should not have played.
Yep.
I was frustrated about that. My parents would come to the game, watch me stand on the sideline, and I'd be on kick return and punt team and blah, blah. And I was the long snapper. I wasn't even a good long snapper. I don't know. I was just looking for something to do to get on the field because it was whatever. But then trained my face off and turned into an extremely average football player, with the idea. Again, huge Notre Dame fan. I love the movie Rudy. Have you seen Rudy?
I've not.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Okay, now clear your weekend.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I need to watch Rudy.
You and your father need to sit down and watch Rudy. Best movie ever. Don't cry at the end.
Okay.
Don't cry. No, you will cry. You will bawl your face. If you don't have a soul, you might not cry, but you do, and it's a fantastic movie. But I wanted to be Rudy. Like I'm like, blah 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 blah. Because I did okay academically. I applied to Notre Dame. I was 5th in our class, I think, and a buddy of mine who ended up swimming Division I at University of Denver was 7th in the class. We both applied to Notre Dame, and I got my letter and came to school the next day, and I'm sitting on the whatever in front of my locker, and Robinson's like, "Hey, Lane, did you get in?" Like, "Nope." "Did you get in?" "Nope." And so we were just destroyed at that point. And so that's I really thought at some point, like, hey, I want to go academically. I'm like, oh, I could handle that. That'd be fun. I'd have to work really, really hard, but and then like door closed. And again, looking back on it, I would have been a crap ton in debt if that would have actually, gone through or something like that. Hey, could I be on the practice squad or whatever? But it's just interesting how like rules change as you kind of go on. And so it's so crazy to me that you've had this goal, but then so many things have aligned really, really well for you.
Yeah.
Like physically, you've busted your butt. And you took that insanely seriously.
Yeah.
You got tall. I don't know when you got tall, Hannah, but at some point I was
supposed to be tall.
Okay.
For some reason, it just waited until like my freshman year to start growing. But yeah, no, I'm fairly tall now.
Because I remember little Hannah, and then all of a sudden I'm like, when are you? Yeah. You're 5'9"?
Yeah, I'm like 5'9". I was always the really little one.
Yeah,
I was always the really little one.
The little libero. Look at that. Look at that. And now you can cover some ground back there. Yeah, look at that. Yep. She playing outside? I did see you swing the other night. It was if I wanted to be good at it, I'd work at it for sure. Yeah. Not natural for that. What do you think creates this drive, this passion? And I guess in connection with this, you mentioned how you don't. I don't know how to say this nicely, or maybe, I don't know if these are your words exactly, but you don't really care what people think about stuff. You don't care other people. I don't compare to other people. Blah 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 blah. Because Hannah, I do think it's amazing that again you're over there playing against the wall. Yeah. Before most practices. Yeah. And I love our club. Yeah. Nobody came over to ever join you. I thought there'd be some like random, some random 16 come over. Hey, can I play with you? And there's I want to do what Hannah's doing. At some junior that like did a. Yeah. How? Oh, look at Hannah. She's practicing again. Oh my gosh. Yeah. She's like. For me, like
if people were thinking that. Now, I don't know if they are, but
I've never heard anybody badmouth you, Hannah. But yeah.
It's like for me, what really gets me going is like I am putting in extra work. And this is going to sound terrible, but when you're working harder than the person next to you, you're most likely going to end up better at them. Maybe not right away, but at some point you are going to be on the higher end of that. And for me, that is so like fuels my fire.
Yep.
Like even if it's not today that I'm going to be better than the person to my right, one day I will be, because I am putting in so much extra work and so much mental and physical power into it that it really just, it gets me going. And like, I'm okay with not being better than them right now because I'm putting in the work. And it's hard. I mean, it's definitely something I've had to learn, because when I was younger, if I wasn't good right away, I was just mad. I was just angry about it. I was mad that I was messing up. I wanted the person to my right to make a mistake so I look better. But I learned that as like, if the person to your right is really good and you're better than them, then think how good you are. Yeah. And so you want the person to your right to get better so you continue to get better.
Yeah. So that's a very mature attitude to have. That I think most kids, most adults don't have.
Yeah.
If I just work out 3 days a week for the next year and the year after that and the year after that, man, in 5 years, I'm going to be in great shape.
Yeah.
And then adults will work out for 1 week and then give up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kids will do, and then just, I didn't get a meeting. I'm not jumping 8 inches higher already.
Yeah.
I've worked out for 2 weeks. This is all for nothing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
How you said that all maturely, and I 100% believe that you believe everything that you just said.
Yeah.
Why do you believe it, and why do others not?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I've had to learn that as I've gotten older, and my time here at VC has been incredibly helpful to that. I mean, even playing with the older kids, I had to be a little bit more mature because I was playing with older kids. But I've always been, that's kind of just my personality. I've always been a little bit more mature. But as far as that mentality goes, I think it's something that I've kind of not crafted myself, but I've had to come up with that mentality because I was just driving myself insane thinking that I am never going to be good enough. I'm not good enough no matter what I do, blah, blah, blah. All that's not true. Yeah. You have to believe in yourself a little bit, and confidence is something I struggle with greatly. I mean, even now, I'm still working on being a confident person. I'm just not a confident person. And so to be a better volleyball player, you need to be confident, and to just be healthy and well and do well in life, you have to be confident in yourself, and you can't continue to put yourself down because you have to build yourself back up and get better.
Yeah. So when I write my book, I'm not writing a book, Hannah. I can't write. Again, this is coming straight off Tony's podcast to your podcast, and I think you guys are very similar people in the way of, and similar people in the sense of successful athletes, and I see this throughout all successful athletes. I see this with Nikos. Like, if you would have told me that, when I met him as a sophomore, and he drove me crazy, that he is going to have this phenomenal career at McHenry, and then like he's looking to play pro volleyball, like legit. And I don't doubt that he can't do it. Yeah. And he absolutely loves it. Yeah. The thing that I would if I were to paint with a broad brush, that all of you guys handle insanely well, where most people don't, is that you are okay to fail. Yeah. You get knocked off the horse and you get back on. Yeah. And you do that and you do that and you do that. And sometimes you'll ride 2 feet and fall off the horse. And sometimes you ride 2 miles and then fall off the horse. But you're constantly getting knocked back off the horse. But then you just get up and pop back on. And other people complain, I can't do this. They make it dramatic. They take a huge chunk of time off, which is fine. Time off. But it's, you take that much time off, it's sometimes that much harder to get back on said metaphoric horse. Right. But that's the theme. And I don't know why, I mean, I have some guesses, but like why people avoid this failure thing so much. Yeah. And that is, again, when I write my book, I think that's your secret weapon where like, especially in a sport like volleyball.
Yes. You fail a lot. It's okay.
Yes.
And that's how you get better too. The more you fail at one thing, I think they say that like you need to touch a ball, do something right 100 times in practice before you're going to do it one time right in a game.
Yeah.
And that like seriously is so true. I mean, I've done lessons forever, and there were sometimes I like seriously think I got like 2 good passes, and I was just mad. I was so angry
for an hour.
Yes, I was so angry about it. But as I've gotten older, those times that I spent making so many mistakes like that, I think that has helped me. Also,
Yeah.
I'm a very technical person, and so if you get good fundamentals in your sport and you have a good base and foundation, I think that's also really helpful. But yeah, I mean, like I said, when I would make 2 mistakes, I would cry. But as I've gotten older, I learned that volleyball is a game of mistakes. Every single play ends in a mistake of some sort.
Yeah.
And, of course, you don't want to be the person that makes that mistake at 14-13. You just lose a set. But sometimes it happens. And it's happened to me. It happened to everybody. I mean, everybody makes that, terrible mistake at that terrible time. And, it just, I think as you get older, making the mistake is okay. It's how you react.
Yeah.
So after you make that mistake, if you're all sad and whatever, it's okay to be sad for like 3 seconds. Of course you want to have emotion towards it. You don't want to just be cold about it, but you want to get better from that.
Yeah.
If you weep and moan about that mistake, you're not getting better. The next 2 are going to be awful if you continue. So that has been something that I've had to learn in the tough way for sure. Yeah. I mean, that was a hard one, but this year, especially, you make the mistake, maybe your coach gets mad, it's fine. Yeah, there's always another one coming, especially in volleyball. That's why I love it, because you make a mistake and the next one you can make a really great play. Yeah. And then the next one you can make a really great play, and then you might make a mistake, and that's okay. Yeah.
Well, and to compare it to other sports, I think it's a similar thing. If you shoot 50% on the basketball court, you're doing pretty gosh darn well.
Right.
If you hit 300 baseball, oh my gosh, you're probably in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And you're failing 7 out of 10 times.
Yes.
Like that.
Yes.
That.
Nobody's perfect.
No.
Yeah. It's easier said than done for sure. But I think the way you react about yourself, the self-talk that you have, that's something that I've been working on, and how you react maybe when a teammate makes a mistake,
Yeah.
Maybe they are having a really hard time. You got to help them out.
Is that so? How have you gotten better? Let me give you some context. So my oldest, Reed, played some club soccer this last year. First like club experience of anything outside of wrestling, which is really not a club, it's a season. It's I mean, they're going for 3 months. It's not like it's a longer thing or anything like that. But club soccer, they trained in the fall. He actually took the winter off because of wrestling, but then came back in the spring. They had a rough spring. They played competition that was better than them.
Yep.
They got beat up a little bit. They lost a couple kids from the team. One kid moved away. One kid actually had a concussion thing, and that was kind of scary. Yeah. But he, again, I think boys and girls are different.
For sure.
12-year-old boy, there's lots of emotions,
For sure.
And let's be clear, 12-year-old girl, lots of emotions too. So, but like, I know he's hard on himself if something goes right. 2 games ago, he went to throw the ball and it's hot and sweaty.
Yeah.
The ball completely slipped and went like 10 feet up in the air, and 2 feet in front of him.
Yeah.
It was just
not good. Yeah.
So it happened. Whatever.
Right.
Not a big deal. It didn't cost him a point or anything, did it? Yeah. Anyway, but he will. But he'll be hard on himself for them. Like he's more embarrassed than anything. Like, oh, that just looked bad. But then he'll also, if some kid makes a bad play on his team, sometimes he will show emotion. Yeah. And like, come on, what are you doing? Like that was so easy. Now soccer's different because you can there's 1,000 mistakes on the soccer field and nobody scores.
Right. Yeah.
Volleyball is not that. You make a mistake and somebody scored. Have you always been cognizant of how you are as a teammate, or when did that light switch kind of click out?
So that, yes, I've never, how do I word this? I don't like when people show emotion towards me when I make a mistake. It really, I'm already hard on myself, and now somebody else is clearly mad.
Come on, Hannah.
It just makes it so much worse for me. And so I've always been really cognizant. Also, my mom has always taught me, you need to be a good teammate. That is something she's always drilled in my head. And I genuinely am a kind person. I don't get super angry. When I get angry when I was younger, I really would just get angry at myself. And I that's selfish for sure. I mean, that's a bad teammate in itself. But
Yeah.
I usually maybe once or twice I would slip up. Everybody has their moments. But for the most part, I've always been pretty cognizant of being a good teammate, because even if I'm having a bad day, I want somebody to help me.
Yeah.
And the only way that we build that relationship is if when they're having a bad day, I help them.
Yeah.
And build that teammate connection that, that is also arguably one of the most important pieces of volleyball or any really team sport.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I could not agree with that statement more.
For
So
sure.
Hannah, I'm just going to keep telling stories today.
Yeah, no problem.
And then you just tell me how immature and dumb I was. So I remember, again, football was my primary sport. Again, not very good. Baseball was my secondary sport.
Okay.
My senior year, I was the only catcher in our class. And when we had there was a junior catcher behind me, again, junior catcher behind me, who played over me because he had an absolute cannon for an arm and could hit the living tar out of the ball. This I was relatively strong. I was pretty strong, but I was more like weight room field football strong, less of having I had a very average arm, maybe slightly above average bat, but like this kid was better than me, and I can't tell you how frustrated I was. Hey, it's my senior year. I've worked. I played baseball ever since I can remember. And hey, it's the first game of a doubleheader, and I'm sitting on the bench. Ryan Samples, behind the plate, and the only time I get to do anything is if I need to go warm up the left fielder, or if Ryan was on the, was up to bat and he made somebody made the last out, and I had to go warm up the pitcher, and it was just like, oh my, my parents are sitting in the stands, and like maybe I get to pitch hit later in the game or something. And so I found myself like internally cheering for him to screw up. Like, strike out, throw that ball, into the outfield. Miss that. And because I'm thinking so selfishly, like, I want to play. I'm working as hard as I can. I want to play. How, if somebody thinks like that?
I mean, it is a thing. I've thought like that before. I think you just, as far as that mentality goes, you might think like that. But afterwards, I think you need to assess yourself too. I think I've had those thoughts too.
Not proud of it, Hannah.
It's not proud. It really is. I think everybody has those thoughts. It's normal. You want to play, and you're gonna do anything you can to play, right? Even if I'm sure you're not going around saying that to anybody, so it's really all in your head. But
it's all in my head.
When you put so much, this is what I've learned at least. When I have put so much emphasis on somebody else, I totally lose my own connection with myself. And then let's say that person did mess up. Oh, great. Now I'm going in. Woo. Okay. Oh, shoot. Now I really don't want to mess up because they already messed up. I don't want to mess up. And then boom, I messed up. So, and that was when I thought like that. Now, granted, this year I played libero for the most part, and I was super thankful for that. But, when I go next year to Central Michigan, there's going to be another great libero there. There's going to be 3 other great liberos that I'm going to be competing with, and I might not play at all. I might be on the end of the bench, and that's okay because I love where I'm at regardless. I love the people that I'm surrounded with, but I just know that as I've gotten older and I've learned so much. I've had those terrible selfish thoughts. I just know I'm going to do my best. I'm not perfect, of course. I might have those thoughts every time. Or not every time, but
sometimes,
a few times.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, I'm going to try to be a good teammate and root for them because they are going to make me better in the long run.
Yeah. Nice. Hannah, I think that's a very hard thing for people to do, for kids to do.
It is.
I think there's a maturity thing that comes with that too.
For sure.
Because I think, I think people can see it.
Yeah.
If they give the fake applause,
right.
Let's go, ladies!
Right,
like they're just speaking just to speak. They don't actually mean it.
Right.
They don't actually. Just stop sucking. Like you're not. It's. I don't know. It's a tough thing to be that mature, where, if you're not in the role that you want to be on a team,
yeah,
and you're in a different role, and then you're still trying to be supportive
Yeah.
of the team as a whole.
It's hard.
It's hard.
It's hard, yeah. But I think that if, things aren't going to go exactly how you imagine. Like, if it were, I'd be playing libero next year, my freshman year. But that might not happen, and that is completely okay. And I think those lessons that you learn when it doesn't go exactly your way is when you grow the most, But it takes a lot, and not everybody's perfect with it. It's definitely a mentality, and again, you're still going to have those maybe selfish thoughts, but every time you have those times or have those selfish thoughts, if you assess yourself, you can get better. And I think the mental component, getting better mentally, is going to make you better physically.
Yeah. Do you think you're able to, where you are right now, what city is Central Michigan in?
State? Did you say state?
No, Central Michigan is no city.
Oh, Mount Pleasant.
Oh, Sydney.
I was gonna say, oh boy.
Did I say state?
I don't know. I hear you.
What?
Oh boy.
I was thinking so hard.
Yep, Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Okay. Is this something where, 'cause everything you just said, hey, if I don't make a starting limit, this is where I get to reflect and I get to grow the most, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something you're going to be able to execute?
I hope so. I sure hope so, because I've thought about it, and
or is it more of like a hindsight type thing? Because I can say that a lot of times in my life, where I'm so upset, like this is so I hate that, and I look back at it like going, oh my gosh, thank goodness, it worked out like this, not that way.
Right.
Why am I trying to have control over everything?
Right. Yes,
hey, there might be a master plan here.
I struggle with that, trying to take control of everything, and so if I don't play next year, of course I'm going to be angry, but also I know going in, I'm going to do my best to have a role on the court, whether that's libero, serving, specialist, DS, I don't care what it is. I'm going to do my best to have a role, and if I don't have a role, I know that I tried my best, and I'm going to continue to try my best to get that role. Maybe that's later on in the season. Maybe that's, oh shoot, somebody hurt themselves, unfortunately, and now I need to take a step in. But whatever happens, I am always just going to try my best. I'm always going to put in the work, whether I play or not play. And that's not going to change. The mentality, it's hard, and I'm not that great at it. I know I can sit here and preach it, but we're not playing volleyball right now. So it's a little bit different, but I think reflecting on yourself and doing the best you can, physically, mentally, being a good teammate, taking care of yourself, being a kind person. If you do all that and you do your best, it'll all work out.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that impresses me most about you. And when I stopped playing sport in high school, specifically football, because I guess that was my number one. Like, I had no regrets.
Yeah.
Like, I enjoyed it. It was fun.
Yeah.
I worked as hard as I possibly could.
Yeah.
The product at the end was the best that it probably could be.
Right.
If I wanted to do some like little D3 school, I probably could have. But like, I was good at that point, because everything that you just said there, like, I worked as hard as I possibly can and let the chips fall where they may. It drives me bonkers when I have athletes that like put these limitations on themselves, or like this, like, oh, I can only be this good. I'm like, you're 15. Like, who knows what's going to happen?
I mean, I can sit here and say, but I totally thought that way when I was 15. I put a box around volleyball and was like, this is what I need to do, and this is what volleyball is now. Of course, you learn that, your boundaries the box gets bigger, I guess. The box opens. But, even when I was 15, I thought that way. And that's okay. I think that's part of learning too, having, failing mentally maybe with the box idea. But, you're going to grow. And I think as you get older, that control will slowly diminish. Of course, even this year, I still felt like I needed control over volleyball. And when I played, how I did. But in the end, it'll all work out. Stop trying to take control of everything. Volleyball, you can't put it in a box. You can't put your life in a box. It's not going to work perfectly, and that's okay. And you're going to learn from all the things that don't go exactly how you want them to.
Yeah. I just wish, I don't know. I don't know if it's the social media. I don't know if it's
there's a lot of external factors to it.
It's like, oh my gosh, I can't be as good as Caitlin Clark, so I'm never going to touch a basketball. Like,
exactly.
Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, and again, I think the frustrating thing, I think sky's the limit with so many of these kids, because like if you actually came in here as a freshman, we'll say, like, you know, you're 15 years old, you put in quality strength conditioning work. I don't care who you are, boy, girl, at the end of your senior year, you're gonna be a friggin' animal, absolute animal. Again, don't care what sport you play. Now you layer on, you know, hey, that sport competition of things, assuming we have good, smart, you know, coaching, and like, holy, who knows what happens here? And I think that's my favorite I've said this 1,000 times. Eric should start paying me for this. Like, I think that's my favorite thing with VC is that like Eric gets up there and says, our goal is to send kids to college. And I think that's their goal here. The goal of other places is we're just here to send kids to Division I schools. And if you're really not that good, we don't really want you. There's so many flags up there from NAI school, from JUCOs, from Division III schools. Like, so athletes can continue to do this thing that they love. Maybe at the Division I level, maybe not. Who knows? You know, but like you're able to, again, you work as hard as you can. And you have no regrets.
Yes. And I think too, it's what you want to do. So some people Division I, they just don't want to do that. And that is okay. I think even in the Division I level, there's Power 5, there's mid-major, and maybe there's a lower school. And those are all completely different too. Like my school is going to do a lot things differently than maybe Nebraska or Wisconsin. But I don't want to do what Nebraska and Wisconsin want to do. But if the person to my right wants to do that, more power to them, right? But I think letting people do what they want to do, continue to play the game that they love to play, is the most important part in all of it.
Hannah, what do we miss? We haven't taken a breath in 51 minutes.
I want to keep it too long.
What do you wish I would have asked you that I didn't?
Oh, man, I feel like we covered most of it. I don't know. I think we're good.
We did pretty well.
Yeah, we did well.
And I hope that, and again, I don't know. Sometimes I feel, because I'm the same age as your parents and stuff like that, that I'm trying not to be that. And even with my own kids, like live out my, you know, high school dreams through my children and stuff like that. And default through my athletes and stuff like that. But man, if kids do everything that you just said in the last 52 minutes in the way of just having fun, enjoying the process, not sweating the small stuff. So, you know, being a good teammate, you know, taking things in stride, eating right, sleeping right, not being crazy, understanding that I probably need to eat protein, not rocket science, you know, but hey, maybe I shouldn't skip every breakfast. Did you eat breakfast today?
Yeah.
Up top, Hannah. Boom. Breakfast.
Yep.
How'd it go? What'd you have?
This morning I ate yogurt and frozen blueberries, and if you put frozen like fruit of any kind in the yogurt, it makes it like frozen yogurt. It's really, really good. It
sounds fantastic.
It really is. And you get your protein in.
Yeah.
And your fruit.
Easy.
It's good. Yeah, it's easy.
That must have taken you a long time to make. I mean, did you prepare that?
Not at all. Not at all. You
Man.
just throw some yogurt in the bowl, blueberries too.
There we go. 4 seconds later, you have breakfast. Look at that.
Sometimes I get crazy and throw some almond butter on there.
Oh my gosh. But that's going to be another 5 seconds.
It is really good.
Yeah. It's just simple stuff. So I appreciate you coming on the show. I appreciate you taking the time, because I know you have limited time here, Hannah. The time is counting.
Here soon. Hopefully I can take all those mentality tips with me next weekend.
Yes. This is good. I'll send you an early copy of this just so you can re-listen to yourself. Be like, oh yeah, I did say that. That was really good.
Right.
That was really good. No, I am super impressed with, again, your work ethic with it, because I do think you take, I'll say, an average athlete and put them in your body and have them do everything that you've done over the last 7 years. They get burnt out and they're like, volleyball is stupid. I don't want to do this anymore. And you start to twitch if you go a few days without doing it, because you feel like you're slacking off. Not because you're a psycho person, because you enjoy it. Like you really enjoy it. It's fun. You like getting better. You like going on to the next thing. Again, Tony's my conversation. It was like, you get better. You have to 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 get better.
Yeah, it's simple.
Like, just keep going. Like, and that's the thing. Like, you're so much better now than what you were a year ago,
Right.
versus the year before that, versus the year before that.
Yes.
And I think there are too many kids that make too many different excuses where I didn't drink anything on the day. And now I show up to training and I feel garbage. And so I don't get anything out of the training. I go to practice, feel like garbage. I didn't eat anything. I'm stressed out. And so now you just went through 3 hours of training. Boop, boop. Not that every day is going to be perfect.
Yeah, right.
But you do that,
80% of the time.
Yeah.
90% of the time.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah.
And it's interesting. Once a month turns into once every 2 weeks. It turns into once a week. And all of a sudden we're wasting 30% of our training because you can't get your you can't eat like what a normal human should.
Yeah.
The military has had 3 square meals a day since the beginning of time. And you can't eat the first 2 meals. Come on now.
Yeah.
And then you eat leftover pizza and gummy bears before practice, and you can't figure out why you have a tummy ache.
Right.
I could tell you here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a soapbox right there.
Totally fine. Totally fine.
Oh, anywho, Hannah,
Yeah.
if people want to follow you in what you're doing and stuff like that on the social media, where do they hunt you down?
I would say Instagram.
On the gram.
I'll probably post stuff on there when I go to school. But one thing I want to leave everyone with is the road is not perfect. You have to find what works for you. It's going to be different from anybody else. But if you find what works for you, find your passion, it will all work out in the end. And nobody is perfect. So just remember that as you keep going.
Hannah, that we're going to close it right there.
Wonderful.
Right there. You nailed it, kiddo. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Listeners, thanks for listening. Oh, gosh, Hannah, anytime. Listeners, thanks for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks again for listening to another episode of Oak Performance Radio. Don't forget to check us out on the social at Oak Performance and online at www.oakstrength.com/Oak Performance. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.